to mundo fine, night train to the end. Running hard and running fast to meet my future and away from my past. Taking the gamble that cannot last. Night train to the end.
This is the Frater SH Night Show. Welcome, folks. We got a paranormal news story for a scientist discovers blue glowing snow in the Russian Arctic. Russia is home to a number of unique and wonderful things, and apparently the list includes bioluminescent snow that glows blue. Last month, Russian biologist Vera Ilmenenko went for a walk to the White Sea coast high in the Russian Arctic. Some very unusual in the snow. A blue glow that looked like Christmas lights with Ilmenenko or Mikhail Neritin, the son of a molecular biologist working at the same remote field station, and two dogs. It was Neritin who first noticed the strange blue glow as they walked in to investigate. They noticed that their footsteps created streaks of ethereal blue, like blue Christmas lights in the snow. Even the dogs left a glowing trail as they raced ahead, and squeezing the glowing snow in their hands, they made it glow stronger. Semenov was intrigued by the find, so she went back to the station and asked photographer Alexander Semenov to accompany her so they could document the phenomenon. For about 2 hours, they both stomped the snow to make it glow. Semenov took photos, and that later went viral on social media. Those same pictures were sent to scientists around Russia, all of whom were intrigued by the phenomenon. The next day, Vera Ilmenenko slipped a snowball of glowing snow under a microscope, and she waited for it to melt. She spotted some copepods, the tiny aquatic crustaceans in the petri dish. When she poked them with a needle, they lit up a faint blue, indicating that they were the source of the ethereal glow. Known as bugs of the sea, these creatures are typically found in the ocean at depths of 100 meters during the night, but just a few feet at night, when they can cause the eye-catching bioluminescence phenomenon on beaches. This type of glowing snow has not been seen before at the Russian biological station, even though it has been open for 80 years. Ksenia Kozobalkova, an expert on Arctic marine zooplankton at Russia's Academy of Science in Moscow, said that the rare phenomena may have been the result of copepods being caught in a powerful current that pushed them ashore and into the snow. Okay, next story. The next story is UFOs, the Channel Islands, and the Navy's drone swarm mystery. The Navy has a perplexing mystery on its hands. For several weeks in 2019, unknown objects stalked U.S. warships off the east coast of Southern California, while the bizarre drone encounters remain unresolved. The incidents occurred in an area with a long history of UFO sightings, including two of the most credible encounters on record. According to documents reviewed by The Drive, the first reports of unidentified objects hovering and flying near Navy vessels sparked a sweeping high-level investigation. The Navy, working with the FBI and the Coast Guard, now appears to have ruled out civilian activity or U.S. military operations as plausible explanations for the encounters. This leaves two possibilities, each with extraordinary implications. Either a foreign adversary spying on Navy ships around the Channel Islands, which lie just west of Los Angeles and San Diego, or devices of truly unknown origin operating with impunity around the United States with Allied vessels. The implications of a foreign power deploying drones to spy on American warships just off the California coast are immense. For starters, this scenario suggests a monumental U.S. counterintelligence failure. Moreover, such a brazen and technical complex intelligence operation amounts to an enormous gamble for a hostile nation. Any shoot-down, as the Navy reportedly attempted, of a foreign surveillance drone so close to U.S. shores would invite sweeping geopolitical repercussions. Importantly, if the UFOs that stalked the Navy warships were part of an adversarial intelligence collection effort, the object's operators made little effort to conceal their presence. Videos have been taken of one U.S. vessel show the mysterious craft displaying bright and flashing lights. At the same time, Navy radar operators tracked the objects with apparent ease, even expressing surprise as the craft engaged in anomalous maneuvers. In another video, a spherical object, which has noteworthy parallels to UFOs observed by fighter pilots off the U.S. East Coast, appears to descend slowly into the ocean. To be sure, investigators, intelligence, and analysts make sure seriously the possibility that a foreign power is spying on U.S. warships a stone's throw from two major American cities. But based on what is known publicly about these bizarre incidents, investigators should also consider the long history of UFO sightings around the Channel Islands. Decades of anecdotal reports are bolstered by two of the most incredible encounters on record, and notable a 2004 incident. Air controllers aboard a Navy-guided missile cruiser watched as a mysterious radar tracks suddenly appeared around San Clemente Island. The radio operators grew increasingly uneasy as the UFOs moved south at bizarrely slow speeds, with U.S. planes stated to conduct an air defense exercise in the same area as the unknown objects. Controllers directed two FA-18 fighter jets to investigate the nearest radar contact. As the jets approached, all four aviators aboard the two-seat fighters observed a tic-tac shaped craft hovering, moving in extraordinary ways around the surface of the ocean. The object, which had no discernible engines, rotors, wings, or other control surfaces, then mirrored the maneuvers of the lead jet before accelerating and instantaneously out of sight. After descending tens of thousands of feet in less than a second, the object reappeared on radar 60 miles away, implying unimaginable fast velocities and g-forces. Most perplexingly, the UFO appeared to be a predetermined rendezvous point, known only to aircraft and radar operators. U.S. intelligence analysis rules out highly advanced Chinese or Russian aircraft as plausible explanations for the bizarre encounter. For their part, the four aviators who observed the object believed that it was not from this world. A half-century earlier, one of the most talented and prolific aeronautic engineers in history observed a UFO of the Channel Islands. His account is corroborated by four of America's most experienced test pilots and aerospace engineers. Among noteworthy contributions to American aviation, Clarence Kelly Johnson designed the legendary U-2 and SR-71 spy planes as the first head of Lockheed Martin famed Skunk Works division. On December 16, 1953, Johnson and his wife watched as a UFO with no apparent control surfaces or engines hovered for several minutes in the vicinity of Santa Cruz Island. The object then accelerated rapidly out of sight. Unknown to Johnson, a Lockheed flight test crew, which included the company's chief aerodynamics engineer, chief flight test engineer, two highly experienced test pilots, observed the same object while flying northwest along the Los Angeles coastline. Unsurprisingly, Johnson and the flight crew description of the incident are meticulously detailed. Most importantly, Lockheed's engineers and pilots explicitly ruled out a cloud formation of a plausible explanation for the incident. Nonetheless, the Air Force, freshly charged with discrediting and debunking all UFO sightings, concluded that five of America's most credible observers were fooled by a small cloud. Largely unknown in aviation history, Johnson was a firm believer in the existence of flying saucers In a letter informing the Air Force of the Channel Islands encounter and another UFO sighting 2 years earlier, Johnson writes that the incidents left him more firmly convinced than ever that such devices existed. According to Johnson, the 1953 encounter helped him to win some highly technical converts to his belief. Importantly, Lockheed engineers and pilots and descriptions of the December 1953 incident referred to another credible sighting over the Channel Islands in 1951. One of the company's top test pilots, Roy Wimmer, sighted some lights over Catalina and reportedly stood still for a while and moved around before disappearing. The parallels to the movement of the drones recently used warships are noteworthy. A decade after Lockheed encounters of the 1950s, a Navy photographer captured video of a UFO moving slowly over Catalina Island. Digitally enhanced footage shows the object appears to lack control surfaces or obvious means of propulsion, bearing an intriguing resemblance of the strange craft observed by naval aviators in 2004. Now, with Congress forcing the government to take the UFO phenomena seriously for the first time, investigators must consider whether the objects that follow the Navy warships are linked to the long history of inexplicably yet highly credible encounters in the waters of Southern California. Okay, another story here. It is a story from a cryptozoology story about very reliable Bigfoot sighting reported in Illinois. A recent report has detailed an encounter of a large hairy hominid near Illinois Sangamon River. The sighting, which has been submitted in a report to BFRO, Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, occurred while witness was driving along Route 78 in central Illinois at 10:30 p.m. in the evening. I saw a large animal jump into the road about 40 yards ahead. He wrote, "When it hit the road, I could see very large legs spread wide and a dead run with large swinging hairy arms. The arms switching back and forth close to the ground as its body was leaning forward. It leaped across the road in 2 jumps. When it hit the shoulder, it looked back at me. It was about 2 seconds before it vanished into the darkness altogether, but I could see it clearly. It was very large, and even though it was hunched over, nearly horizontal, it still was close to being wider than my car, and nearly to the top of my windshield." The man later spoke to his coworkers and explained that the area was well known for Bigfoot sightings. BFRO investigator Matt Moneymaker spoke to the. That's quite a last name. Sorry. Okay. Did he legally change it to Moneymaker? Each their own. Who spoke to the witness and maintained that the sighting was very reliable. Wait, the investigator's name is Matt Moneymaker, and he's a Bigfoot investigator. I know. I gotta remain objective. Remain objective. Don't judge. Okay. I spoke to maintain the sighting was very reliable. Oh boy. Matt Moneymaker. He was not particularly interested in the Bigfoot subject, but he recognized that what he was seeing. He was driving 70 miles per hour and didn't slow down much until he reached the next town. He kept going. He kept going, then stopped in Havana, the next town, to text his wife and kids to say he'd seen a Bigfoot cross the highway. Whether or not it really was a Bigfoot he saw the evening, however, remains a mystery. I tell you what, let's continue on with the Bigfoot stories, because I found this on unexplainedmysteries.com, and I didn't even know that site was still going, and it's been going on for like 30 years, 40 years or something. Okay, but here's another one, and it sounds very interesting. It's Mysterious Mounds. Does Bigfoot bury its dead? The discovery of unexplained mounds in the woods of Kentucky have sparked suggestions of Bigfoot graves. Despite the number of sightings, that are reported each year, Bigfoot, the mysterious hairy hominid, is said to roam the forests of North America, remains as elusive as ever, prompting speculation that if these creatures do exist, they must do something to conceal evidence of their existence. Ultimately, only a body will ever satisfy science and assume that Bigfoot is a mortal creature. The obvious question remains, why have we never come across a body of one that has died? Cryptozoologist and paranormal researcher Thomas Markham thinks that we may have the answer. Earlier this month, we have forwarded the idea that mysterious mounds discovered in the forests of Bell and Harlan counties in Kentucky could be evidence that Bigfoot buries its own dead. If these creatures really exist and are intelligent, as some sightings have implied, then it is certainly possible that they could exhibit such behavior, and it would be a long way to explain why nobody has ever located the remains of a dead Bigfoot. This is in an area where I have had several Bigfoot encounters and found many tracks, said Mark. Now, of course, I have no idea if these are really graves or just odd humps of dirt on the ground. It could be nothing more than a natural formation or something a person did a long time ago. I have not and would not dig into them, but I am wait. No, wait. Okay, I'm staring at anything by Unsolved Mysteries. Okay. Oh, there's a fireball question right there. Let's read that again. See, this area where I have had several Bigfoot encounters and found many tracks, said Markham. Now, understand Markham is the Bigfoot investigator. Now, of course, I have no idea if these are really graves or just odd humps of dirt on the ground. It could be nothing more than a natural formation or something a person did a long time ago. I have not and would not dig into them, but I am confident that Bigfoot they bury their dead. How does the scientific method work? You have to get evidence, and look at if these are not like normal graves, they're not normal human graves. They're just like mounds of dirt. I don't know, buddy. I don't know. I mean, if you were able to prove, you know why he won't dig them? It's because then it allows his story to keep going. But we're always on the search. I hate to even sound skeptical, but man, like that is that's the thing is like showing off these Bigfoot investigators, and it's just freaking snake oil salesmen, for crying out loud. I already say I will call a dud when I see a dud. Let's see. Without examining the amounts directly, how there is no way for know for sure. Hey, yeah, Sherlock. Yeah, that's correct. Some of these stories at the end of the show are getting funnier, actually. We got Matt Moneymaker, and you got Madman Markham here. Let's see. Who knows? Perhaps the evidence we've been seeking all along is right underneath our feet. Not gonna know until you look. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, that's about the end of the story. I try to keep these episodes about 20 minutes. I don't want to go longer, because then I'll get burned out and not want to do the show every day. But 20 minutes is pretty good. You can keep it nice and hot. Keep the show nice and hot for 20 minutes. And, if someone doesn't have a lot of time, I don't have, I can't sit, in my age, I can't just sit there and watch all like 2 hours of a podcast just to get specific information. So we'll keep doing this, and the way I see it, folks, I can do this probably forever, because stories just go on and on and on. And like I said, it doesn't, just because I do a story doesn't mean exactly that's my thing. Like is Loch Ness my thing, or Bigfoot, but it's just, this stuff is fascinating. It's entertaining, and you don't know some of it, but be forewarned that some of these stories I may cover, There may be just a lot of fakery involved, and you just got to kind of call it as that. But maybe not. Maybe it's very real. Okay, folks. Till next time.